Serious, parents of really smart kids who never really went anywhere in life, what advice would you pass on to similar young people now? There have been studies that link high intelligence with a greater risk of developing mental health conditions. Being aware of that and knowing the signs can mean you get help a lot faster, hopefully before mental health issues start to have life-changing effects and derail plans and ambitions. Great point. And to add on to this, no matter who you are, don't hesitate to get help if you feel like you need it. People nowadays, I'm guilty as well, either just deal with it and eventually numb themselves into a rut or put more stress on themselves by thinking nothing is wrong with me while continuing to deal with obvious symptoms of a disorder. Please know that some people, albeit smarter than average, don't have a calling. It's okay to settle for a decent job that you don't hate and pursue your other interests on the way. My daughter is exceptionally intelligent, was invited to join Mensa. We decided against it but come into contact with other parents' gifted children and have seen several go off the rails. A. Don't keep telling your child they're extraordinary. They're not. All you're doing is feeding their ego, which can lead to them being lazy or creating impossible standards that they feel they can never achieve. I've seen so many of these kids get behind in their studies and drop out because they think they're above it all, and at least half of them suffer from severe anxiety disorders, my daughter included. B. Let them live. Not all kids wants to spend 8 hours a day playing the violin. Not all kids wants to do 6 hours of homework a night. Allow them hobbies that aren't related to furthering their education, but are purely for enjoyment. C. Let them manage their own time. They don't need their parents micromanaging every second of their life. D. Let them have friends that they choose. Let them socialize and spend their weekends doing things they enjoy. No kid wants to have friends handpicked by their parents because they're their equals. They want friends that they can have fun with. Who cares if their friends aren't Mensa candidates? If you're so obsessed with other children's IQs you need to see a professional immediately, that's creepy. E. Teach your child failure in a supportive environment. They will still have struggles in their learning, and it can be a shock when they find a subject they don't naturally excel at. When their self-identity is based around being super smart, it can be devastating to fail at something. Teach your kid that it's absolutely okay to not be a genius at everything and teach them to laugh when things go wrong. Last year a student we knew committed suicide because she failed a maths test for the first time ever. F. Be prepared. Some kids are exceptional until they're not. They grow up, the other kids catch up, and they're suddenly just average. This is why it's so important to raise your child well-rounded. G. Get a life. No, seriously. Don't live vicariously through your kid. Your kid's achievements are not yours. Your kid is intelligent through genes, not your parenting. It's okay to be proud of your kid's achievements, but it's not okay to find self-validation through their achievements. Your kid is a person, not an extension of you. H. Finally, be aware that your kid may not want to be the person you envision for them. Telling your kid they're going to be a surgeon doesn't make them want to be a surgeon. They may want to be a musician, or an artist, or a chef, or work in retail, or work in a bar, and that's their choice. You give your kids the tools to survive. It's up to them how they utilize them. Be proud of whatever path they take. Jesus Christ. It's like my parents traveled from the 80s to today, saw this comment, and said frick that guy, let's do all the opposite things. Except the Mensa thing. My dad was in Mensa. He was adamant against my joining the Mensa Honor Society. Don't ever believe you are too good to keep learning. There's always new things to learn even if you don't feel challenged by what you're doing right now, in school, or wherever. It doesn't matter what it is. Keep learning. I always hear on Reddit that kids who are seen as smart when young then find they level out among their peers as they get older find it's because they've learned to coast on their talent, aka they didn't learn how to learn, and put in the work. Study practice. Help them set up good study habits. Yep, I can relate here. School was easy till college. On a roll. Barely had to study. Then pharmacy school. Holy crap, I nearly failed out 3 times because I had no idea how to take in all that information. Don't coast on your smarts. People get ahead by working hard and being good with people, not by doing the bare minimum to get by. Mine wouldn't be to the kids, it would be to the parents. Learning is a lifelong venture. It never stops. Don't burn your kid out when they're learning about complex emotions, social interactions, their place in the world. Guide them towards wisdom, not just knowledge. Also, kindness matters. This is amazing advice, coming from a kid who went through burnout. Stop telling kids they are smart. Credit their hard work. I remember absolutely giving up after struggling with advanced algebra. It was my first learning barrier and I was in 9th grade. I knew I wasn't as smart as people said because I was failing. Truth is, I became a stats major in my PhD program. I am really good at math. I just attributed it to natural talent, not work ethic. It took a very long time to accept that having to work hard is not a sign of being stupid. Having to work hard is not a sign of being stupid. I wish someone had told me this in high school. Stop overthinking everything. Stop second guessing your decisions. Stop comparing yourself to others. In the end, you're only battling yourself. If you have multiple children, don't pressure the smart one to be the one who does it all. Not only are you hurting the other ones for being normal probably, but you're putting unnecessary pressure on the other ones. In my case, my 2 older siblings were normal. However, when I was in 2nd grade I was labeled as gifted and thrown in a magnet class. My mom put all the pressure on me since I was a golden child who was going to get a good job, be rich, and support our family and retire. My mom, she didn't care about my other siblings, so they stopped trying altogether. Older sister dropped out, brother failed all of high school and had to take multiple classes at a special center to get his diploma, but she didn't really care because she had me as her backup plan. And then in high school I found out I wasn't special, and with crippling depression from all the pressure, I struggled to get the help I needed. So yeah, don't do that crap. Treat all your kids the same and give them the help they need if one is struggling. Be careful about what going somewhere in life means. I grew up with a very professionally successful mother who was also stressed and unhappy a fair amount of the time because of the pressure put on her at work. For some people it's money, for others it's prestige, but every ladder climber has something that pushes them higher and higher up. Some people end up at the top and get enjoy the view, but a lot of people don't. So I wouldn't worry too much about not going anywhere in life, so long as your kid ends up with a life they enjoy. And if you're the one asking for advice, I'd say figure out what you enjoy doing. Might be a career, might be a hobby, might just be a daily routine. A lot of people know and live by the phrase do what you love what you do, but way too many of them think do means what they do for work. Loving music doesn't necessarily mean making music a career, nor does loving computers mean you must go into IT. I have a friend who is a full-time working musician who does engineering projects on the side. He's in a band with a full-time teacher who does music on the side. Both enjoying life to the same amount and with similar activities, just with different perspectives on what makes them happy. Challenge yourself. Everything is easy for you until it's not. Then it becomes seemingly impossible because you never acquired the tools necessary to overcome those challenges. So do what you can to make learning hard. It's hard for everyone else, and you need to experience that too. Best way to do this is to have creative, productive outlets which allow your ambition to force you to expand your abilities. Not coasting on smarts is a common theme in this thread. On that note, advice for the parents would be don't praise your kids' intelligence too much. I'm not saying don't praise them at all, but my parents constantly told me how smart I was, and my dad's send off for the day was show them how smart you are. I did that and got a big head about my intelligence. That was fine until college when I needed to do work but had never studied, rarely did homework, and realized I hadn't completely mastered concepts from high school because I never applied them. So, you can tell your kids they are smart but emphasize hard work more than pure intelligence. Everything in this post is so relatable except the part where your dad said you were smart. With me it was classmates. Being smart is not a replacement for working hard. Smart kids can become stupid adults if they don't work hard, but dumb kids can become smart adults if they do. Developing a healthy work ethic is arguably the most important factor in education. I skipped grades till I was just an average student, but I was smaller, younger, more immature. I had no friends in my grade. Never had a girlfriend. I ended up suffering and falling behind as a lonely misfit. I should have stayed put and just been a genius instead of skipping grades. Skipping grades is not good for students most of the time, unless it is in the first few years of education. Most kids will have very little way to connect with others. There is no substitute for doing the work. Whether you call it chop wood, carry water, or work ethic, or self-discipline, or any other terminology, choose a term that doesn't grate on you and learn how to do the work. Because there are plenty of brilliant young people, you just haven't met enough of them yet. And what happens is that brilliance attracts brilliance. The further you go with your smarts, the more and more the peer group narrows until eventually you're not a big fish in a little pond anymore, able to create wow effects just by being smart. You're the same size fish as everyone else around you. The day you realize you're not the smartest person in the room anymore can be a day of despair. Because you always relied on talent and didn't have to learn things like good study and health habits or other forms of chop wood, carry water. And now the kids who are naturally talented and learned how to work hard at what they want are going to accelerate beyond you. Or it can be a day of sheer exhilaration, because you finally found your peer group and you can now all spur each other on to excellence, and there's no feeling like that in the world. You have the power now to choose which one it's going to be, by learning how to do the hard, smelly, no good, boring, crappy hard work all the treheads are out there doing. As a smart person, never discount hard workers. They will outwork you almost every time. And if they are both smart and a hard worker, well, they'll hand your butt to you and make it look easy. Be the smart person with the edge of also knowing how to do the hard work. It's the only thing that will set you apart from the other naturally smart or talented people once you're in the big pond with them. Whether that's medical school, law school, world-class art school, a certain level of your career, or any other goal you want to achieve, never coast on smarts. Learn how to work hard, and it will set you apart from the smart ones who coast. Or you risk finding something you want, you really want, that is just on the edge or outside of your zone. But because you never learned how to work for what you want, you'll lose it. And there's almost no feeling as bad as that, even the death of a loved one. And besides, no one likes a lazy smart person. People hate that guy or gal. And yes, they can see through it. Don't be that guy. Commit to being worthy of your natural smarts by also learning how to do the work. Many people describe me as a smart person, but I feel like there's no reason I should get extra respect for my natural talent. I know people who are incredibly hard workers who I think should honestly be respected more than people who just get stuff naturally. I work somewhat hard, but nowhere near the level that some do. As a former smart kid who is possibly not living up to my potential, my advice is, it's okay to not be exceptional. Find out what makes you happy. You don't have to achieve great things just because you are gifted. It's totally okay to work a mediocre job that isn't your life's passion if that job gives you something else THST makes you happy. I've figured out what makes me mostly happy in life. Time with my family. I have a fairly well-paid, low-stress job with great work-life balance. I'm working part-time to spend time with my daughter while she's young. I've taken some big trips with my husband and I'm planning more. I have time and energy to pursue my hobbies. Took me a while to realize I'm not actually ambitious on the career front. I might well one day go and get a higher degree or go into research, or I might not. I'll never be rich, but I'm not struggling either. My advice would be for the parents. I was a smart kid and my parents put so much pressure on me I crumbled. I wound up not going to college because after high school I had enough. I was burnt out from my parents forcing me to study every free moment. I was burnt because I hated doing all of the after school activities because they would look good when I applied to college. Just because your kid is smart, don't pressure them all the time. Let them have some free time and realize the occasional B on a test is not the end of the world. My parents meant well and I love them, but they really did me no favors by pushing me in the direction they wanted for me. At 37 years old, none of what I did in school matters now and I can support myself just fine. Well, my really smart kid is working on finishing her degree in teaching. According to the way our state education system is, she was officially listed as profoundly gifted. I spent all of her years in the school system fighting to get her what she needed. Part of the following shouldn't just be for really smart kids. It should be for all kids. There is a huge difference between intellectual growth and psychological social growth. Regardless of the intellectual capacity, kids deserve to be kids. What's more, they need it. Yes, darling daughter was reading on a college level in elementary school, but she was still just a kid who was figuring out the world. When we reached high school, many administrators said to me, "Oh, you want her to graduate early," to which I always gave the same response. "So you're saying she doesn't deserve a senior prom?" Do not underestimate the importance psychologically and socially of all those normal kid things. Think back to your own early years. What do you remember as the best parts? They deserve that too. Encourage their interests. It doesn't matter what that interest is. Run with it. Boredom is a big thing with gifted children, and that's when chaos happens. Consistently encourage and praise hard work. There's easy subjects for gifted kids. I'm not saying those don't deserve a little praise, but adult life isn't about what comes easy. It's about putting in the hard work. The more you encourage and praise it early on, the more likely they are to have those traits as adults. Have real conversations with your kids every day. Pay attention to what they are doing in school. Pay attention to their interactions with peers. Don't hand them the answers. Help them to have the tools to answer them themselves. Encourage thought and reason. Teach them to see the options available. As a former smart kid, who never really went anywhere in life, for my fellow underachievers I have only this to say: it's okay, other people can go frick themselves. Find something you're good at and you can do with sickening ease. You're smart. You'll figure it out. And ride that motherfucking easy mode to the grave. You don't owe this crappy world, its crappy people, or even yourself not a goddamn thing. If you are experiencing anxiety, you are not alone. Anxiety, especially related to perfectionism, is extremely common among high-achieving people. Source: I'm not a parent, but I wish I had known this earlier. What's this went nowhere in life nonsense? The idea that someone who excels in some way is required to achieve great things is ridiculous. What's wrong with just being happy with yourself? Don't squander your best years. It's easy to get out of high school, which, let's be real, grades and performance don't matter that much in high school in the grand scheme, and then just flop into college and fail cause you don't know how to apply yourself and you don't know how to learn to develop a hobby for yourself, completely separate from your end goal. Wanna be a programmer? Try picking up painting. Find some things that really get you out of bed on the daily. Become a multifaceted person. Learn skills and never stop learning. I'm actually the kid who just coasted through some college classes and stalled big time trying to get a job for a few years. Eventually I got scared of staying like that and learned some new marketable skills. Got motivated to find a proper career to help fund a life where I could partake in and expand upon the hobbies I want to have in my life. Life is what you make of it. Crap in, crap out. If you want to get good outcomes, you have to put in good effort to make it happen. If you're a smart kid, that can usually come pretty easy to you. As the really smart kid who went nowhere, I'd like to actually pass on advice to the parents. Don't be so overbearing if you know your kid is smart and want to see them succeed. Support their success. Don't want their success. When it came to going to college, I didn't have the money, so my parents offered to help pay. The catch being that it only applied to certain highly accredited schools that would look good on a resume. I made it into one of said schools, with the catch now being that my major had to be profitable. So they essentially cut out all the arts stuff I found enjoyable and would have liked to do, because success there is sketchy at best. So my parents suggested I go for mathematics as it was something I excelled in, but something I didn't really care for. I hated it. It was just the feeling of living for someone else instead of yourself. Advice to the kids: just go for it. I know I personally tend to overthink things and talk myself out of doing something using the negative outcomes. But if you never go for it, you'll also miss out on all of the positives. Get checked for ADHD. Seriously, so many intelligent to highly intelligent people who never finish college, have a hard time maintaining jobs, or just can't seem to get it together have undiagnosed ADHD. The struggle is real, and medicine like Vyvanse or similar can really help you get control. I'm not the parent, but I am the kid who didn't go anywhere. I'm about to pat myself on the back, but it's not about bragging. I promise. I didn't get the best grades in high school, but I was always told that I had a brilliant mind and that I would go places. The problem was, I had no drive back then, no idea what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Who does at 18? It didn't help nobody in my family went to college, so I had nobody to guide or encourage me. However, 2 years ago I met a recent college graduate who was floored that I didn't have any higher education. She said the same thing. "You're so smart, how can you not?" So, with her help, I enrolled into community college. This past July, I graduated CM Lord with my Associate of Science in Liberal Arts and Science. This fall, I transferred into a 4-year school to pursue my Bachelor's of Arts in History and Anthropology with a minor in Chinese. Today, I turn 28 years old. It is never too late to follow your dreams or pursue an education. I have had classmates who are much older than I am, still after the pursuit of knowledge and bettering themselves. My advice is to never sell yourself short, because it is never too late. Also, on mobile, so sorry for any formatting errors. Being an exceptionally smart kid, aka never studied for a test until senior year of high school yet maintained at least a 96 average, it would be to make sure the kid knows how to study. I'm currently in my last year of college and have really struggled because I never had to study for tests. I still struggle with it and went from a 3.9 GPA in HS to a 2.9 in college since the classes I take are difficult and really do require self-learning, which I was never shown how to do. Also, I feel teaching a child to ask questions would be really important because I was too stubborn to ask for help, especially when I first realized it was getting difficult. Make sure that they know learning and understanding is more important than their pride as the smart kid or anything like that. There's only one trap that smart kids fall into, and only one way out of it. They have a very easy time in elementary school, and it earns them a lot of praise. If something is too hard for them, they just don't try, because they aren't going to get that immediate hit of praise for it. They eventually just never learn to try hard at things they aren't good at. Once high school comes along, the kids who have been working hard are fine. They are used to this. Smart kids are not. They might skate by, but then college comes and they aren't getting any praise for being intelligent. No one cares. They lose heart and give up. Find something that is very difficult for you. Praise is not your friend. Hard work is your friend. Success is not your friend. Failing and trying again is your friend. Sincere, sustained effort is your friend. Humility is your friend. I'm gonna play some hard video games then, but for real, thank you. This applies to me a lot. I used to be actually pretty smart in elementary, but I just find out I'm just above average probably, or even marginally. That hit me like a truck. Thank you for helping a fellow. Being an Asian kid exposed to tiger parents my whole life, I wish I could tell all those tiger moms and dads. 1. Your kid will not make it to Harvard. Stop comparing colleges, rankings, SAT scores, etc. around your kid. It only adds to their anxiety. 2. For God's sake, let your kid have fun, play video games, watch TV, hang out with friends, etc. This teaches them how to balance work and life. I had many friends in college who never had fun in high school and ended up watching TV all day in their dorm because they didn't know how to manage their newfound freedom. They ended up getting kicked out of college. 3. Your kid is not defined by his or her SAT score. Most Asian parents grew up in a place where one exam score determined the rest of their lives. But the Western world is different. If you move to a place like America, don't parent in the past. Adapt and learn. 4. Help your child develop proper social skills, not just technical skills like piano or ping pong. Social skills will matter more in life than any award in piano. When a friend comes over to play, let them hang out, even if it means sacrificing practice time. Those are the 4 main reasons why I've seen Asian American kids rebel, get depressed, and or fail when thrown in an independent environment. When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment, and I told them they didn't understand life. Jay Lennon. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.